Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to Axel's Garage. Out here with Ginger. You guys wanted Ginger videos, you're getting Ginger videos. Today, Ginger needs brakes. I don't know what happened, but we've been driving Ginger. We never touched the brakes when we bought her. We got 18,000 miles, a couple of transmissions. Different story. I've already talked about it. I ain't talking about it no more. But anyway, the brakes started, the brakes are in good shape. Stopping power-wise, meat-wise, but the rotors are so warped that it's just vibrating the whole truck when you're on the highway and you got to put your foot on the brake. So, time for brakes on Ginger. Ginger had a lot of like surface rust and stuff underneath, so I'm sure these rotors are probably going to be looking pretty crusty. What do we have today? We have POWERSTOP brakes, and yeah, we've been using POWERSTOP brakes exclusively whenever we could get them for any of the vehicles. In the Suburbans, I've used a couple of different POWERSTOP combos. I like the truck and tow, even for a vehicle that you don't tow with. Now, being that Ginger is one of our remaining Suburbans that's here at home, you know, we will tow with Ginger because it's the only one here. So, either way, I'm going to put truck and tow on all the heavier trucks, the Suburbans, any of the pickups, the Stevens Avalanche, anything like that is always going to get the truck and tow POWERSTOP brakes. I'll link them in the description. POWERSTOP, not a sponsor. They should be, and we've actually reached out to POWERSTOP. Here, let me show you the box here. All right, so I got my POWERSTOP. It's marked heavy. This is the truck and tow. This is the Z36. We'll see once we get it open. But this, I reached out to POWERSTOP and I said, hey, I do a lot of your brakes and I get a lot of great feedback on the videos. And they said, we're really happy that you do. However, your channel is too small for us to sponsor you, which POWERSTOP Extreme Severe Duty Truck and Tow Brake Pads. I think these are like the Z36 or something. Yeah, Z36, there they are right there. Great brakes. Here's the very important burnishing procedure. You're going to go 5 aggressive decelerations from 40 down to 10 without allowing any cool down in between. Then you're going to do 5 moderate decelerations from 35 down to 5, and then you're going to drive slowly to let everything cool down. And once you do that, they really do come with the hardware. It comes with a little lube and the brake pads. Love them. Really had great success with them. What else we got here? Comes with new rubber boots for your caliper sliders. And then we got our rotors in there. Let me grab that box. It's heavy. I gotta put the camera down. So inside the box is another box, and it's got your 2 rotors in it, and they are zinc coated, drilled and slotted. Front passenger side. Pay attention to where they go, because one goes on one side, one goes on the other. But they're really nice rotors. They tend not to rust too bad. Up here in New York, where they brine the roads every time there's a threat of icy weather, rust is just killing us up here. You know, brake lines, fuel lines, cooling, transmission cooling lines, all that stuff has been rusting over the last 20 years. It's really gotten bad. You can see the ass end of Ginger there. We're losing a little bit of the bottom of the quarter panel behind the wheel. It's just, it was never like that here, and now it's like that. And like I've said before, I've spoken to my local mechanic that I use when I don't do it myself, and he's been replacing brake lines and fuel lines the last 15 about 15 years. 15 to 20 years is when they started doing this whole brining thing, and it's just killing. It's keeping those mechanics in business doing brake lines and fuel lines. But it's killing these vehicles, the bodies. Even the funny part is Robbie's K5. A little side note here. We'll take a little walk out to the K5. So Robbie's K5 parks like this normally. Okay, so we got the curb and the grass, the bushes, the house back there, and then we got the street side. So you look at his wheels, and he's got steel wheels on it, right? And you look at the wheels on this side, they don't look bad. Right, other than the caps being real rusty, but they don't look too bad for cheap, you know, D-window steel wheels. You know, for a vehicle that's been sitting out for 4 or 5 years, this is, you know, how it sits. So now what they do is they'll come down the road here with the truck that's spraying that saltwater brine all over the road before the storm comes, or before the rain comes, or before the icy weather comes. And then what happens is the weatherman's wrong, and it doesn't even snow or rain or freeze up, but yet you got that saltwater brine on the roads. Now you're driving down the wet road and it's spraying that brine all over the place. But here's the kicker. When they drive the truck down the road, the driver's side of the vehicle is facing the road, because here in New York, we have to park passenger side to the curb. We can't park backwards on the street. You'll get a ticket. They don't allow it. I know in other parts of the state and other parts of the country, that's okay. You can park on the, quote, wrong side of the road. But look at these. And these wheels, right, are just as old, just as many miles. I mean, look at that. Look at that rear wheel. Right? And that's from the brine. It just eats everything up. Here, I'll give you an example. Robbie's quarter panel. Right? You can see that the wrap is actually holding the form and the shape in. I wouldn't dare lean up against that. We'd crush it. It's just the nature of what we have here. It sucks, but it is what it is. So, I got my toolbox out, my rolling toolbox. I got Ginger out in the driveway. She's jacked up, and she's got a jack stand, so we're safe. I'm going to pull this wheel off, set the tripod up, and let's put these POWERSTOP brakes on Ginger. So as you can see, we're pretty crusty. These rotors have seen better days. I am going to turn the wheel, make it a little easier to get on the backside here. Yeah, it's that size, which is a 55, T55 Torx. Those caliper bolts. We do have lots of room, so we should be able to get in there with the stubby. And wow. Not supposed to be this tight. Holy cow. Oh. I don't want to strip them. Let me get a big leverage device. This is an ugly start to a brake job, I'll tell you that much. Holy shit. Holy shit. This is an ugly start to a brake job. All right, heat. I'm gonna go with heat. So I'm gonna put the Torx back on the impact. Now I know I'm losing torque through the adapter and stuff, but I don't want to heat the caliper up or caliper overload. Let's see if I can get down there with the bigger gun. I don't know how much more I can, heat that up. I'm just going to go on the lowest torque setting with this one just to see. No. Higher. All right. Let's give it the full beans. Got it. All right. Let me come up here. Can I get this in? Maybe. Got it. Wow. Those were tight. I had to go with this guy. You should never have to go with that guy. Holy cow, they were tight. I mean, the threads are good. They were just... Ooh, that's still hot. Here's the cool one. I mean, they're not in bad shape. They were just tight. It doesn't even look like they were rusted in there. All right, brake pads look evenly worn, surprisingly enough. I mean, the rust is just ridiculous. All right, let's loosen these up a little bit and we'll get them out. We'll flap that right up there. All right. Yeah, plenty of meat on the pads. They're fairly evenly worn. Grab the camera. All right, you can see the inside pad is considerably thinner than the outside pad, and that is because this pad is really not sliding on the slider. It won't even move. Where this pad, see how it moves, and this one's in there tight. All right, and that's going to be probably there's rust jacking under the sliders. So it starts to rust a little bit under the sliders, pushes the slider up into the pad, stops the pad from moving back and forth, and that's how you get the uneven wear. But that wasn't the issue here. The issue here was that the rotor just got really out of round and warped, and you could see the inside part of the rotor is thinner than the outside part of the rotor, and these probably just been pad slapped over the years, and the rotors just got a little thin, they got too hot, and they warped out. So the caliper brackets, 18 millimeter, they're in tight. They have Loctite on them. That one ain't coming out with that one. Top one came out. They got the yellow factory Loctite on them. This stuff is like super glue. All right, so we're gonna take the big gun out again. Get this caliper bracket off. Shouldn't have to use this giant gun on a brake job. All right, so with the caliper bracket out, you can see this pad is just stuck, and this one will move. So, and it doesn't move great, but it moves. But this pad is stuck in there. Gonna have to beat it out. We're gonna take this caliper bracket, we're gonna wire wheel it up, we're gonna take these clips off, we're gonna get the rust jacking out from under the clips so we can put the new clips in, and we're gonna put the new rubbers in that came with our brake kit, because you can see how we burnt that rubber heating up that thing. But we'll put our new rubbers in and get this all cleaned up. This rotor this rotor should come right off, and it doesn't. Let's see, let's get a little hammer. This is just outstanding. Might have to get a bigger hammer. You know, I thought a little hammer would do it. Let's see if a little hammer will get the brake pads out. Yeah, it's moving them now. Oh, joy. What a joy this is. Oh, let me get a bigger hammer. All right, a little lump hammer, 3 pound. There we go. A little movement. There we go. So, although the brake pads, see, these are my hammer marks, so let's not go there, but although the brake pads were solid, they looked good. Well, look at the pads. There was only this much of the brake surface actually touching because the rotors was so... What is going on here? Right, so here I had the majority of the brake pad touching, right? I got a little ridge here, I got a little ridge on the inside. On the back side, that was all that was touching. The rotors are just that rusted. They're rusted in like that. Holy cow. I wish I had one of those wired descalers that would just hit this whole thing. So I'm going to clean up the caliper bracket and the caliper pins. I'm going to clean these up, get that factory Loctite out of them so that we could just put a little dab of blue on them when we spin them back in. All right, be back with you in a little bit. So we got all the rust jacking off of the caliper brackets. Got the old rubbers out. They have like a metal thing. These should just pop in. They might take a little, might need to give them a little persuasion, maybe with a socket that fits over it. Nice. Let me see what I got here. You can just take a little socket that fits over it. This is like a 19 millimeter. You just tap them in all the way. Yeah, that works good. Just make sure the socket's big enough where it doesn't damage the rubber, yet it'll sit on the flange there. And it doesn't, it's not much of a smack. There we go, and they're in there nice. Okay, now we got our new clips. So the clips, right, go on like that. But the problem is this rusts. So this needs a little bit of lube. If you're not in the rust belt, doesn't matter. So what I do is I use a little super coat. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll take the super coat and you're going to put it under the clips. And you just need a thin coating, because all you're doing, you're not lubing anything. You could even wipe it a little bit if you wanted to. You're not lubing anything. All you're doing is protecting the metal so that it doesn't rust, right? And then you push them in. And the same thing on the other side. This one should get the other clip, right? Fat side over there. And the same thing, it's just a thin coating to stop the rust from under the clips, because what happens is it's rust jacking, right? The rust comes out and it pushes the clips into the brake pads. And what it does is it pushes this up and this one down, and it makes the clearance tighter in between the brake pads. And that's what screws up your your ability for it to slide back and forth. Putting the brake pads on, all right, this sits like that. Actually, it sits like this. It sits like this. So the outer pad, right, this goes on. If you look at your thing, this is sitting on the wheel like this. The direction is this way. Right, so you want your clip on the leading edge of the rotor going forward, which is going to be at the bottom. So this one's going to go in on this side, and then this one is on the leading edge of the rotor, so it's going to go in there. So you want the sensors on that side. Now here is the dilemma: do you lube these or do you not lube them? That is a conversation that everybody has an opinion on, and a lot of it is based on where you live. Some people say do not lube it. Some people say lube it. I have been lubing in my area, and I have not been having a problem. Your results may vary. I'm going to leave that up to you, but I just put a thin lube layer on. They say that if you lube it, it attracts dirt. I don't know. Now here's your fitment deal, right? Fit it in and make sure that when they're in, they're going to move. See how these are a little tight, right? I've found that a lot of brake pads are a little tight. So these are a little tight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little file set, and I'm just going to file these a little bit, this opening here, so that these brake pads, when they go in, they just tend to slide back and forth because you want them to move a little bit better. So I'll clean that lube out, and I'm going to take and get a little file, and I'll go in there and file them out. Sometimes you could even take a wire wheel and just get the paint off. And you could just take the paint off, and a lot of times just the paint is what the difference is. That's this side. Now if I put this one in, let me see how it fits. It's still a little tight. Little tight. So I'm going to just go with a file just a little bit. So I take this round file, maybe 10 times. That's it. That's all you need. That's all you should need. And then we'll come in here and we'll go. Still just a little tight. I mean, you could not work backwards like me and fit them before you lube them, so you don't have to wipe the lube every time. they're still freaking tight. Look. So now I see where they're tight. They're actually not tight on these. They're tight right here and here. That's where they're tight. So just take a little bit off of here and a little bit off of here, and they're not going to be hitting anymore. All right, so I just hit them with a file. Here's this one. Still a little tight on that one. Let me check this one. That one's good. This one just needs a little more. Now, can you just jam them in there? Sure. You could just jam them in there. But you know what's going to happen? One is going to wear. One side isn't going to move in and out freely, and it's going to wear faster. Nice. Now it's nice. Okay, excellent. So our caliper is ready. Now I could go get my caliper bracket. Caliper is ready. Our caliper bracket is ready. I could go get my caliper bracket bolts, and we could put this on. Oh, we gotta put the rotor on first. All right, so that could sit to the side. Driver's side front. Here's the rotor. Driver's side front. So try to keep it as clean as possible. What I will do, because of where we live, is I am just gonna real thin, just like I did on the brackets there, real thin coating of the super coat synthetic white lithium grease here, like that, so that it doesn't rust to the hub, and I can go clean that hub face. So here on the hub face, I got one of these guys here, link it in the description below. You can put it on an impact or a drill. Where my wire toothbrushes are missing, broken. All right, I'm happy with that. All right, all the heavy rust is off. And I'm going to get this rust off the outside of the hub face. Okay. I'll just take a little super coat and I'm going to put it in that crevice here where the hub sticks through the rotor is what I'm shooting for. I'm not concerned with the hub face because I already got it on the rotor side. So right here where the hub sticks through the rotor, so that the next time I won't have to beat the rotor off. All right, so now we got our rotor, front driver's side. I'm doing it on a funny angle so you can see, and I can't even get it near here. There's the holes. Here they are. Okay. All right, and now we got the clean rotor on there, and what I forgot, of course, was to do my caliper. So I got to push the piston back in and I got to clean off any rust jacking that might be on the inside of the caliper, which doesn't look too bad. Let me push the piston back in and try not to dirty my rotor too much. All right, so I got my pumping tool, nice and slow and easy. Don't have to go crazy. Especially up here in the rust, you don't want to blow out a brake line because you're screwing it in too fast. So just go nice and easy. I mean, you could take the cap off the master if you want. I usually don't, because that tends to make a mess. All right, now in here you got some rust on the face of the pistons, and you got a little bit of rust on the inside of yours. So the easiest way is this guy here. So what I do is I come in, and just get the loose stuff off, nice and lightly. All right, you don't want to rip your boots. You just want to get any loose stuff off. All right, and the same thing on this edge here. If you turn it this way, all right, clean the loose rust off on these ears here. And now I'll take some brake grease, and I'm using the purple Permatex stuff. And wherever you have metal to metal contact, which is the faces of the pistons, I just put a coating on it, and it helps with any potential vibration noise, but it also prevents rust jacking in that area as well. So I'm going to put some right on the ears of the caliper. And that's it. Just a little bit. That caliper's ready. I can put it down right there, and we can get the caliper bracket with the pads back on. And all I got to do is just get a little Loctite for those bolts. All right. So what I'm going to do, take my caliper bracket, open up the brake pads so that they're on the outside of each of them. All right, I'll slide it in, and I'm going to take one bolt naked, and I'm just going to start it just to hold it in place. And then I'm going to take my other bolt, I'm going to put a drop of thread locker on it, right where the factory yellow stuff was. And I'm going to screw it all the way in by hand. And then I'm going to take this guy out. Right, you can see the yellow staining in the threads. Put a dot of it on. Find the hole. Screw that one in by hand, this one in by hand. Like brake pads are nice. If you want, you can throw a lug nut on the rotor. You can take a lug nut, you don't have to make it tight or anything, just to hold the rotor in place. This way the rotor won't flop around. Right? You got your brake pads in place, and I think it's like 85 foot-pounds. I got my fuel brushless M18 M12 with a 6 battery on it, and I've giving it a blast with this has always been plenty good enough. All right, and that's on there good. If you want to check it, know your tool. That's all I'm telling you. But I think the torque spec on it is 85 foot-pounds. So if you wanted to check, you should check. 85 on the torque wrench. If you wanted to check. And I'm at least 85 on that one. And I'm at least 85 on that one. So just know your tool. All right. So brake pads are in. All right, caliper's lubed. So now we could take the caliper, and we could take this caliper, and without twisting the brake hose, we could go to bring this caliper on. You got to push your boots in. All right, so be nice to your boots when you're getting the caliper on. All right, caliper pins, they're dry. What I am doing here is just making sure that I can get them in, that my boots there we go. Okay, so that boot's in the right spot. You know how the boots get all collapsed when you're putting them on, so I can get that pin in. So I got the bottom pin just slid into place. Now I'm going to take my brake lube again, the purple Permatex stuff. I know there's controversy over brake lube also. I've been using this. I know some people use the Silglide. I have a couple jars of this on the shelf, so I'm using this until I don't have any more, and then I think I'm going to go to try the Silglide out. But I've never really had any problem with this brake lube here. So I'm going to leave one of the hands. I'll slide that in. It's going to take some wiggling because of that new boot in there. All right, and I did put lube on the threads. Start it by hand. All right, and then I'm going to take the bottom one, same thing, put some lube on it. You don't have to go crazy with the lube here because you don't want to create like a cavity where they won't move, because it's a sealed cavity where they ride, and if you have an excessive amount of lube there, what happens is there's no way for the lube to go, and they can't move because the lube is causing like a pressure thing. And then I'm going to tighten them up by hand. I shouldn't need an impact to tighten these things. So I'm doing it with a ratchet. Make sure they go in nice and smooth. And then as soon as this one bottoms, I'll come up and do the top. Then bottom that one, bottom this one, and it's just like that. You know, it's like 35 foot-pounds maybe. Maybe. I don't even know. I don't know what the torque spec is, but you just give it a little and give it a little that's it. And because of all the rust, what I am going to do is I'm going to put some lube on the head of the caliper bolt, just that synthetic white grease, and in where the torque spit goes, just to prevent rust in the future. All right, so this side is done. I could straighten the wheel out. I could take my lug nut off. Put the wheel on, torque the wheel down, put the wheel on, torque the wheel down, and repeat the process on the other side and then we do the burnishing once it's all done. And look at the amount of rust. Look at that. That's just, and we didn't try to knock really rust off too much. That's just the shit that came off from taking it apart. But that's it. Boots are in nice, everything's lubed. We didn't get the rotors all full of fingerprints, so we don't even have to clean them off. We're good to go. All right, so the other side was just as rusty as the first side. However, I don't know if this is going to come out on camera, but can you see how concave? Let's see if I can get it without the shadow there. I've never seen a concave brake pad. Both rotors on the inside just wore in that one little stripe in the middle. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, POWERSTOP brakes are in. We're going to burnish the pads or burn them in or warm them up, whatever you might call it. I don't know, seat them. Here's the directions. Right? Important. And let me tell you, I've always done this, and I've always had success with these brake pads. So we're going to go 5 aggressive decelerations from 40 to 10 without stopping. Then 5 moderate decelerations from 35 to 5 without stopping. And then drive for 5 minutes to cool down the brakes. They get hot, you smell them a little bit, but whatever it does, it seats the pads right, and it works. So we're going to try to link everything we used in the description below, especially the POWERSTOP pads. Like I said, POWERSTOP does not sponsor me. I paid for these pads. They're about $200 for the rotors and the pads, and these are the truck and tow. I've just had great success with them on the Suburbans and the pickups and the heavier trucks. I like them a lot. POWERSTOP did get back to me and said, you're just not a big enough channel for us to sponsor you. So, oh well, I'm going to keep using them because I like the product. I'll link everything in the description below, and thanks for watching.